Good evening, everyone. I'm calling tonight's meeting of the Falmouth Planning Board to order. Today is March 24th. It is 6:30 p.m. We are meeting at Falmouth Town Hall. My name is John Drewley. I am the current chair of the Planning Board. Before we begin, I would like to remind everyone that this is a public meeting and is being conducted in accordance with Massachusetts open meeting law. Please take a moment to silence any mobile devices or electronics to avoid interruptions. Anyone wishing to speak should come to the podium, wait to be recognized by the chair, and state their name for the record before making remarks. We encourage respectful and constructive dialogue during public comment periods. Thank you. We'll now proceed with our first item on the agenda, which is public comment. If anyone wishes to speak about something that is not on the agenda this evening, please come to the podium and state your name. All right, thank you. Seeing no one coming to the podium. Second item on the agenda is minutes. We have none.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, no minutes this week.
Okay, thank you. Third item on the agenda is our returning member,
Yes,
Pat.
thank you, John. I just wanted to tell the board how wonderful it is to be back amongst you. Takes a while to come back from surgery, but here I am.
Well, we're happy to have you back for sure. Okay, what's her name? You have to look at the tag right out front here. So next we have planning board decision for applicant Aanjes Hershfield, site plan review application to expand and renovate the floor area of the existing restaurant from 12 seats to 45 seats located at 352 Main Street, Unit 3. And Tom, would you do us a pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, motion that the planning board votes to approve the site plan review application of Aanjes Hershfield for an increase in seating within the existing restaurant at 352 Main Street, Unit 3, under Section 240-12.2, site plan review of the zoning bylaw, with the following conditions and findings. These are the findings. The applicant is seeking site plan approval to expand the existing restaurant to Devour from 12 seats to 45 seats. This increase in seating capacity results in a corresponding increase in the required number of parking spaces. No expansion of the building footprint is proposed. The project consists solely of interior renovations to accommodate the additional seating, including the installation of a bar and reconfiguration of the dining area. The restaurant will be open during lunch and dinner hours. The surrounding businesses within the plaza primarily operate during daytime hours. Therefore, peak dinner operations at the restaurant are not anticipated to adversely impact shared parking availability. Through testimony at the board's public meeting, the applicant indicated that during the lunch hours, the total number of seats will be reduced to 25 to alleviate the demand on the shared parking lot. Next page. Town of Falmouth departments have reviewed and commented on the above-mentioned application, and the planning board finds that the applicant has adequately addressed the comments. The board finds that the information provided by the applicant conforms to all of the requirements of Section 240-12.2 of the zoning bylaw. These are the conditions. Number one, the plan shall be constructed as approved. Any changes shall be reviewed by the planning board to determine if a modification of this decision is necessary. Number two, the project shall meet all applicable standards set forth in the building code as determined by the building commissioner. Number three, the applicant shall see the engineering division for addressed assignment for the new building prior to applying for a building permit. Upon completion of construction, the applicant shall post the address for this building per Section 99-1 of the Town Code. Number four, pursuant to Section 240-12.2 of the zoning bylaw, this site plan review decision shall lapse 3 years from the date it is granted if substantial use thereof has not sooner commenced except for good cause. The determination of good cause shall be made by the planning board.
Thank you, Tom. Second by Charlotte. Any discussion?
Condition 3, the applicant shall see the engineering division for address assignment. Doesn't this building have an address already?
It technically does, but I don't believe the engineering division has assigned unit numbers to the building yet.
Okay.
Therefore, that's the reason for the condition.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous.
No, I'm recusing myself because
Okay.
I wasn't here during
All
the
right.
meeting.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is applicant George Botelho, Ttee, definitive plan application for a two-lot subdivision with associated roadway located at 500 Carriage Shop Rd, and this is a planning board decision. And
For the record, Mr. Chair, would you like me to just summarize?
yes,
So at the last meeting, just about a week ago, actually exactly a week ago, you authorized or asked for the planning staff to put together a positive motion. We've done that. Contingent upon the engineering referral, which is included in your packets, coming back with essentially no outstanding issues. I've reviewed the referral. Hope all of you have as well. I didn't see any issues, so I think you're good to go with the decision. I do want to just call out 2 edits that we need to make, and this is clerical, in my opinion. It's the name of the street. So as you know, the definitive plan, they proposed to name the street Naomi's Way with an apostrophe. Unfortunately, the apostrophe creates problems within our databases. And so I reached out to the applicant and just asked if they would be willing to name the street Naomi Way instead of Naomi's with
Okay.
the apostrophe. They're fine with that. So I think it's a clerical correction that we can make before I endorse the definitive on your behalf, and just make that edit in the decision. There's 2 places where it's called Naomi's. We'll just call it Naomi Way.
okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Other than that, we're ready to go ahead with the decision.
Yes.
Tom, would you read that for us, please?
Motion that the planning board votes to approve the application of George Botelho, trustee under Article 4, definitive plans, Chapter 305, subdivision regulations of the town of Falmouth for a 2-lot subdivision at 500 Carriage Shop Road, with the following conditions and findings. The applicant filed a definitive subdivision plan application with the planning board for the creation of a 2-lot subdivision off of Carriage Shop Road in East Falmouth. The new lots will have access through a newly created private roadway named Naomi Way. The new subdivision road, Naomi Way, will be a 431 plus or minus linear foot, 22-foot wide, paved hammerhead-style turnaround private roadway over an existing gravel way that will be accessible from Carriage Shop Road. The definitive plan includes the installation of a new 8-foot water main and a fire hydrant at the terminus of the roadway and a stormwater collection system. Through testimony at the public hearing, the applicant indicated that any future development of Lot A and Lot B would include denitrifying septic systems. The board finds the applicant adequately addressed all comments submitted by town departments. These are the waivers. The planning board grants waivers from the following requirements of the subdivision control bylaw as requested by the applicant. Next page. Number 1, Section 305-11.C3, traverse tables. Number 2, Section 305-28, fire alarm system. Number 3, Section 305-30, sidewalks, grass plots, and street trees. Number 4, Section 305-34, streetlights. The board grants these waivers because the applicant's representative indicated at the public hearing there were no future plans for developing these two new lots. In the event that future development is contemplated, the board reserves this right or their right to revisit these waivers at that time. These are the conditions. Number one, prior to endorsement of the definitive plan, a covenant creating a homeowners association along with a separate covenant or bond ensuring completion of the roadway and utilities shall be submitted to the planning board for approval. Number two, the plan shall be constructed as approved. Number three, pursuant to 240-2.1C of the zoning bylaw, no permit for occupancy of new construction shall be issued until the planning board is satisfied that the conditions of this approval have been met. Number four, the excavations for the infiltration pits shall be observed by the town before the installation of the leaching systems. Number five, the project shall comply with the town's soil erosion and sediment control standard conditions document. Number six, all future telephone, cable television, and electric service lines to the proposed lots shall be placed underground. Next page. Number 9. The applicant shall obtain an approved street opening permit and post any required bond with the engineering division prior to start of construction. And 10, any further subdivision and/or development shall require a modification of this decision by the Falmouth Planning Board.
Second. Any comments or questions? I'd just like to make one correction, Tom.
Yeah.
When you were reading the decision, you said you used 8 inches instead of 8
You said 8 feet.
8 feet instead of 8 inches.
Should be 8 inches.
Oh.
The water main.
All right,
or
thank you.
Whatever it was. And a question for you, Jed, if you don't mind. On number... I lost my track here. Okay, on condition number 1,
Yep.
it says, homeowners association along with a separate covenant or bond. I thought we always did bonds for unfinished roads.
They could do either one.
Either one?
Yep, yep.
Okay,
So it's, as long as we get a covenant for the roadway itself, they could do a bond for the entire work if they so choose. And then we also need the homeowners association covenant,
okay.
or protective covenants, really.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Again, I'm recusing
Okay,
myself.
thank you.
I think so.
Okay, next on our agenda, we have ASD Cape Cod Holdings LLC, and we're going to move that to the final item on our agenda, if the applicant is okay with that. Okay, thank you. Then we're going to take applicant Kevin Klauer, second, on behalf of 28 Falmouth Heights Road LLC, special permit application to allow the parking within the front yard and within 5 feet of a property line for 28 Falmouth Heights Road. Applicant has requested that this application be withdrawn without prejudice due to issues with meeting the regulatory timelines in MGL C40AS9. You good with that, Kevin?
The first of the two, yes.
Okay. Do we need to vote that?
Yes, you do.
Okay,
Would you like the clerk to read it into the record, the letter?
sure. Thank you.
Let me read this up there. Dear Jed, at your request, the applicant is hereby requesting to withdraw the above referenced application for a special permit without prejudice. The applicant will be resubmitting the application shortly. Please do not hesitate to contact me if there are any questions. Very truly yours, Kevin P. Klauer, II, Esquire.
And I move that the board accept the applicant's request.
Thank you.
Second?
Second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. All right, then next we'll have applicant Kevin P. Klauer II on behalf of 28 Falmouth Heights Road LLC, site plan review, application for the renovation and redevelopment of the existing Red Horse Inn property at 28 Falmouth Heights Road. The proposal includes the demolition of 2 existing structures, the construction of 2 new buildings and a swimming pool, and a new parking lot for the new layout for the property, new parking layout for the property. And Kevin, we'll also have you here for a special permit. Can we do both items at the same time?
Yeah, so we're going to be, it's the same presentation, so, you know, we can either open that separately, and I'll just effectively say what I just said, or we can just do them together.
I prefer to do it all at one time, so that's, again, applicant Kevin P. Klauer II on behalf of 28 Falmouth Heights Road LLC, special permit application to allow parking within a front yard within 5 feet of a property line at 28 Falmouth Heights Road. And Tom?
Okay. Mr. Chairman, public notice for this project was published on March 6, 2026, March 13th, 2026, and 43 abutters were notified. And there's another notice as well. Public notice for this project was published on March 6, 2026, and 43 abutters were also notified.
So for the record, the first notice was for the special permit, the second notice was for the site plan review.
Did I say it backward? Thank you. Okay, for the applicant?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, members of the board. For the record, my name is Kevin Klauer. I'm an attorney here in town, and I am representing before you tonight 28 Falmouth Heights Road LLC. They are the owner of the subject property, which unsurprisingly is 28 Falmouth Heights Road, which is the location of the Red Horse Inn. I'm joined tonight by Mark Bogosian, the owner of the property, as well as Will Paglia, an engineer with Longfellow Design, Devin Graham, and Jeannie Fay, both of the Waterside Group. So we're before the board tonight for 2 reasons. Site plan review of the proposed expansion of the hotel, and also a special permit for parking within 5 feet of a property line and within the front yard. I should just note at the outset, we received the staff report yesterday and received the substantial engineering referral late this afternoon. We have not had the opportunity to fully review the engineering report referral as of yet, let alone respond. And it's clear from the initial review that that there will be some changes to the plan forthcoming. So what I'd like to do is use this evening as an introduction, generally review the plans and proposals, see if the board has any questions, and intend to come back with necessary revisions to the plan, responding to comments and referrals accordingly. So this property is 28 Falmouth Heights Road at the corner of Falmouth Heights Road and Jericho Path. It contains just shy of 36,000 square feet. It's located in the Residential C zoning district, and it is not in a flood zone. A very small portion of a corner of the lot is in a flood zone. None of the structures are within a flood zone. As I noted, this is the site of the Red Horse Inn, which is a 26-room hotel, which is located in 2 main buildings with a maintenance building as well. Building A having 16 units, Building B having 10 units presently. There are 7 spaces located on Jericho Path, and the remainder of the parking is located in the gravel courtyard. The applicants are proposing an expansion of the existing hotel use. They're removing the existing maintenance building, proposing the addition of Building C over here, located in the southeastern corner of the lot, which would include 14 additional rooms, as well as conversion of an existing office space in Building A to add an additional unit there. In addition, they're requesting a new check-in building and pool located here. In connection with all of this, they are proposing to relay out the parking area here, including an improvement to the traffic flow by creating a new exit onto Jericho Path, as shown in the plan. So this results in a total of 41 rooms on the site with an improved parking layout. The bylaw requires 1.1 parking space per room, so there's a total of 45 parking spaces required. However, Section 240-14.1F2 allows for a 20% reduction in required parking between 40 and 50 spaces. That would reduce the requirement down to 36 spaces, and the proposed site plan has shown 37 spaces here. In addition, and this is where it gets a little confusing in some of the staff referrals, the applicant owns property at 21 Falmouth Heights Road. That will be the subject of a separate permit application. However, as redesigned, that site will provide additional parking. What we've shown is a plan accommodating all the required parking after the reduction on this site, but there is an additional site which is within 300 feet, which will be available for additional parking. It cannot be part of our required parking numbers because it's located across Falmouth Heights Road, but I think it's an important note to make that there is additional parking available just across the way. This property has been a hotel since the 1950s, and until approximately 2001, it included an outdoor pool. In 2006, a special permit was granted for the addition of a third building with 10 additional rooms. Unfortunately, that was never constructed, but there is some precedent for this, as something very similar was approved. So in addition to the site plan review, we're going to require a special permit from this board for the parking, as well as relief from the zoning board. We're going to be seeking a special permit for modification of non-conforming structures, for alternative parking surfaces, and for lot coverage in excess of 20%. This is only the beginning of the process. Having quickly reviewed the staff report earlier today, we believe that we can provide all the requested information. Specifically, the lighting plan and site distance plans can be done pretty easily. One item to note, the report notes that parking for business use must be 15 feet from a property line when it's abutting residential use. The parking along the northern side presently exists. We're not changing that. And whereas it is a pre-existing non-conforming use in that location, we believe it can be addressed through a special permit to the zoning board. So that's another issue that we'd have to bring in front of the zoning board. Regarding the engineering referral, we simply haven't had the opportunity to review it. However, we will be doing so, and we'll be responding to planning and engineering staff accordingly. This proposal is in line with the existing use and with the surrounding area, which, though this is residential, is really at a point where residential and business are mixing at the northern end of Falmouth Heights Road. The applicants are simply seeking to continue a use that has existed for almost 80 years and bring what is really needed hospitality space to town. In talking with Michael Kasparian at the Falmouth Chamber a few years ago, he told me that in 1990, there was over 2,000 hotel rooms in Falmouth, and there are currently less than 900. We have had a significant loss of hotel rooms over the last 30 years. We believe the project meets the criteria, both for site plan review approval and for the special permit. I, along with the team, would be glad to address any questions that the board may have. Otherwise, we would like to request a continuation in order to address the staff report and the engineering referral.
All right, thank you. Any questions, or Jed, you want to make any comments here?
The two comments, well, actually, just one comment. I just want to bring your attention to, as Attorney Klauer mentioned, the engineering division referral is included in your packet. There's also an email from Beverly Gallagher indicating some issues with the proposal. So that's also included in your staff or in your packet. I believe the applicant got a copy. If not, let me know. But other than that, there's nothing more I should add at this point. I'm just passing along and just remind you to take public comment.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the board at this point?
No, not yet.
Yeah, I have one question. What's the coverage amount of the completed building?
So of structures, currently it is 17.4%, and it's being proposed at 24.
many?
It's currently at 17.4%, and it's being proposed at 24.9%.
Thank you.
And the allowance is 40%?
So it's residential C zoning district, so the allowance is 20% by right, up to 25% by special permit.
What's that? Anyone from the audience want to step to the podium, ask any questions, make any comments? And your name for the record, please.
Yes, hi, I'm Paula Cahill, and I live over here.
Okay, This meeting is recorded, so you have to speak into the microphone.
Oh, okay.
so-
Hi, I'm Paula Cahill. I live 2 houses away from the edge of the Red Horse Inn.
All right, thank you.
And my concern is the redirection of the traffic. Now traffic goes in and out of Falmouth Heights Road, and this redirects the traffic to coming out onto Jericho Path and directly to the, I'm not good at this. East?
You're east.
Okay, so directly to the east is Young Road, the corner of Young Road, and, which is a residential road. My concern is that if the traffic is coming out onto Jericho Path and they turn left, they're going to increase the traffic down Young Road quite a bit.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, thank you.
You know, we could address that very easily, because I think we'd be perfectly fine making that a right-hand turn only out of that exit. So that's something we can look at as we look at potential revisions to the plans.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else in the audience? So, do I need a motion for it?
What are we looking at for dates?
April 14th and April 28th.
Okay, both of those. I'm available for either of those. Any issue? 14th would be preference. I think that gives us plenty of time to get some changes to the plans done. They need to be in by the 7th, correct?
Would be the 7th, yes. Yep.
A motion to continue?
Second.
So moved.
Yeah.
So moved.
No, second.
Second, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous.
All right, great. Thank you very much. Look
Okay.
forward to seeing you in a few weeks.
All right, thank you.
Supposed to save these so they don't have to print them again.
Yeah, bring them home, so we can get them home. Spread them out a little bit.
April 7th.
April 14th and April 28th.
Oh, yeah, big one.
That's the last meeting date, the deadline.
Where's- Out to the hallway, please. Thank you. Okay, next on our agenda is applicant ASD Cape Cod Holdings LLC, site plan review application to install large-scale ground-mounted solar arrays at 41, 42, 48, and 59 Theater Drive and 0 Boxberry Hill Road, maps 1003001-163, 1701-028B, 14, 1701-028-039, 1701-028A, 015, 1004-007-035.
John, I have a question before we begin on this. I have to recuse myself on it because I've not been here for almost all of it. Does that mean I should get up and leave the room, as we normally do with recusals, or can I just sit comfortably here and listen?
What do you think?
If Member Kerfoot is not voting on it, there's no reason for you to leave the room. You can sit comfortably in that
That's-
seat,
Thank you.
provided that the chair is okay with that, because after all, it is up to him.
But no comments and no faces making, no clapping, none of that, okay? All right,
I think she should leave the dais.
thank you. And for the applicant?
Good evening, members of the board. For the record, Matt Terry from the law firm of Klauer here in town. This is the fifth hearing for our site plan review application. At this point in the process, the planning staff has produced a draft approval with conditions dated March 20th. And so I think the purpose, subject to the chair of the board telling me otherwise, is to discuss that draft approval and conditions. Before we begin, just from a procedural standpoint, in speaking with Mr. Cornock, It sounded like the board was interested in continuing our hearing to April 14th. So just setting the table before discussions begin so folks understand the stakes of the conversation this evening, and that it may not be that we reach an approval and vote tonight. I just thought it might make sense to talk about that piece up front so that it sets the table for the balance of the conversation. I spoke to my client, who's amenable to holding a sixth hearing on April 14th, and we would have to extend the decision deadline to Friday, April 17th, if that's the board's wishes.
If the applicant is okay with that, that would be my preference. We at our last meeting, I asked the board members if they had any other conditions that they would like to add for consideration, other than what is in the draft motion, that we would discuss those items this evening, items, and that's where I think we should do that, and then vote at the next meeting.
And have the planning department produce a further revised approval and conditions in the interim,
If need be.
if need be. And just a point of clarification on the process for this evening, to the extent that the board, individual board members are proposing conditions, is it the intent of the board to vote on those conditions for inclusion in the approval?
I would think we'd have to vote that in as part of it. We'd add to these conditions. I think we'd have to vote that in.
Okay, thanks, I appreciate that.
Am I correct with that, Jed? We'd have to vote it in.
I don't think you need to, but if you feel more comfortable doing that, that's totally
Well,
fine.
if one board member had a condition and the other board members didn't agree with that condition,
Right.
I don't think it should become a condition.
Right, so
Or
in
am
that
I
case,
incorrect with
yes.
that?
Right, if there's a disagreement on a condition, yes, I would iron it out. Maybe Member Clifford could be the referee.
So instead of waiting to the end, get it done tonight.
Exactly.
Okay, I
Iron it
understand.
all out tonight.
Try to get an agreement this
Right.
evening
I think it's better to get it out of the way instead of wait to the very end.
with the board members here and with the applicant here.
Sure.
And then everyone knows where we stand for the next meeting. Does that work all right?
Works for me.
And so did any of the board members come up with any additional conditions to be considered?
I have not.
No?
No.
Tom?
We talked about the irrigation system, but I also heard that might have some tests that might have been taken place already. Is that true regarding the sprinkler system?
Testing of the sprinkler system?
Irrigation.
The irrigation.
I don't
I know I
believe
brought up an
so.
issue about if you're always sticking things in the ground, right? Break one of those pipes, is that asbestos, that's lead? It's something I brought up at a previous meeting once or twice, just like that addressed.
Yeah, it's, I recall you bringing it up, and I think there is an existing draft condition in the draft approval that addresses that.
Yeah, I read it over last night, I might have missed it, I didn't see it, that's the only reason why I'm bringing it up now.
We don't have, so it's not currently in the draft list. It had been mentioned in the past. The conditions that are in the draft are simply from staff.
Okay.
So anything that you want to add, it sounds like that might be one of those conditions you might want to consider adding and having a discussion with the applicant about it.
Yeah. I'd just like to add that,
And I
The
think,
testing of the irrigation.
yes.
I believe the applicant said they're going to remove the irrigation, so it would be removal and testing.
Oh, no, they're removing all the irrigation?
I thought.
no,
that's-
so, and I think this maybe what I'm recalling is that it's
Jim?
in some of the findings. But the applicant's intent is to, within the area of disturbance,
Yes.
to the extent that components of the irrigation system are uncovered as part of site construction, that those components will be disposed of in accordance with applicable law.
Okay.
So if they find a particularly, thorny component, there'll be, legal requirements around how that's removed and disposed of.
Good.
Thank you.
Any other board members have any? I typed up a few items that I'd like for us to discuss this evening. Would you like to have a copy of that, Mr. Terry?
Sure, that would be great, thanks.
We can just go through the list. Then the board, we can discuss it and have the applicant be part of the discussion. So some of the items that I had concerned were, as conditions, no additional utility poles added to the site. We have a 6-foot deep retention areas on the site. And if they're going to collect water, I would like to have them fenced in, similar to the solar array, to prevent future accidents of any kind. Want to make sure there's an alarm system to alert if battery stations have a problem, and signage for danger of shock or electrocution if there is a problem with any of the battery sites. It may already be part of what you presented. We printed a lot of material, so that part of it might already be in there. What Tom just mentioned, irrigation removal before construction, and testing for lead. We've had multiple comments from the audience about lead testing. I don't know if the pipes are lead or not. Today's world, they don't use lead for irrigation, but this is an old golf course, so it may have lead. May have lead pipes, let me say that. Like to have proof. It was stated earlier that the installation of the solar panels has no concern for aircraft in the area. And I've read some documents that Massachusetts uses stating that if you're within 5 miles of an airport, there can be a concern. If you're further than 5 nautical miles. If you're further than 5 nautical miles, there's no concern. And I met with the building commissioner earlier today, and certainly the runways at Otis are easily within 5 nautical miles. And I know you stated during the Cape Cod Commission hearings that it wasn't going to be a concern, and I just want to make sure at some point that we know for sure from the federal government or whoever's in charge of the Air Force Base. And then on finding number 28, the Cape Cod Commission calls for 650 new trees planted in restoration area and 232 trees planted in protected open space area. I'd like to know the types and sizes and time frame for plantings and oversight by which town department. That'd be our problem, which whoever is going to help oversee that situation. That's a total of 782 trees to be planted in the future. So in F28, it talks about some types, but it doesn't have a numerical. It doesn't say 102 white oak, or so we'd like to have some breakdown of that. So the town knows what to expect. And decommissioning plan would like to be completed within 1 year of lease agreement ending or end of its useful life, or if the site has been abandoned. And site restoration and stabilization completed within 1 year of completion for decommissioning. And during that time frame, the solar owner should continue to pay rent, property insurance, until decommissioning and restoration is 100% complete and approved by the town of Falmouth and the Cape Cod Commission. So those are my concerns. I don't know if you'd like to discuss some of them this evening, or you want to.
I think it would be helpful to walk through these.
Yeah, I think so too. Thank you.
One at a time. So if you could expound a little bit more on the first condition, no additional utility poles added to the site.
Well, you have on your site plan, I think, 7 poles being added, utility poles. I thought it was 4, and then I was told it was 7.
So, yes, Lawrence Cook from Pure Sky Energy. On the site, there's no additional poles. There are 8 poles off-site that will serve as the extension from Eversource.
Well, to me, that's added to the site. I'd like to see no utility poles, no new additional utility poles.
Beyond the 8
So-
that are already planned.
Oh, not even any of those. I'd like to see from the battery stations to the next telephone pole, which is, I think, 1,200 feet away approximately, for the wires to be underground.
I'll leave that to you.
Sure, yeah. Well, and just before you go, Lawrence, within the site perimeter,
There's no poles within the site perimeter.
there are no poles,
No.
so nothing for connection to the Eversource.
So we go from our pad underground to the pole that Eversource, over to the Eversource equipment pad.
Yep.
They'll then go from underground from their equipment pad to the last of the poles that they've proposed along Boxberry Hill.
I see. Got it. Thank you. So this is basically a restatement of the condition we've been talking about at a few hearings, which is that you'd like the lines to be buried underground.
From the battery station to the next pole, the existing pole.
Right, which is currently close to the intersection with Ashamit Road.
Correct.
Okay. So we'll just re-raise our earlier concerns and objections to this condition, which in brief, because this is all area we've trod over before, that site plan review is what it says, which is review of the plan within the site, and that by definition, imposing a condition for property that's outside of the site is outside of the scope of the review and outside of the scope of the bylaw. It also is not consistent with previously approved large solar projects in town, including recent approvals like the fairgrounds. It imposes a significant financial and timeline hardship on the applicant because, first of all, it's not cheap to bury lines, and it requires entering a restudy with Eversource, which means months, if not longer than that, to redesign an interconnection program with Eversource as the utility that's already been finalized and executed with Eversource. Finally, as we submitted to the board in anticipation of this hearing, a letter that outlines some of the other potentially adverse consequences of burying these lines that we wanted to bring to the board's attention in the event that they hadn't been considered. And those chiefly 2 considerations are, one, that in order to bury lines along Boxberry Hill Road, it would require at least an 8-foot wide area of disturbance. And as you know from the site visit and from driving up and down Boxberry Hill Road, the tree line there is very close to the road. So it would require the removal of a significant number of trees in order to accomplish this, in addition to potentially fatally damaging the root systems of even more trees. So there could be a significant loss of roadside forestation as part of this condition, and it would also therefore result in the loss of a significant amount of screening, natural screening, which is currently in place of the arrays, the east and west array. So if the board is inclined to and approves this as a condition to its approval, the applicant would intend to appeal the site plan review approval. And if the board is weighing kind of the equities of serving the public, one additional factor I'd like the board to take into consideration are the time and legal fees that the town would have to incur in order to defend that appeal, which could take quite a bit of time to work its way through the court system. And it seems like a challenging use of public funds for a condition that staff and town council has informed the board is outside the bounds of the bylaw and would almost certainly be overturned on judicial review. So I think that's the list of prior objections we've raised to this condition.
So I don't think that's our board's intention to have the applicant appeal any of our decisions here. That's not the purpose of it. But I would ask the question that, as you were making your statement there, it sounded like you already have an agreement with Eversource, maybe a contract of some sort, for the poles and the wiring itself. If you do, could you present that to us before the next meeting?
I'll defer to the applicant on that.
Redacted. It's in.
Yeah, you have to come up.
So we have an executed interconnection agreement with Eversource. We would have to discuss whether that's appropriate to be made public.
If you discuss that and let us know, I'd appreciate it. Jim, you have a comment?
Well, I just wanted to comment. I was involved in putting together a fairly large solar array. And the first thing we had to do was this interconnection agreement. It's done right up front, and it's done before you even start everything, and so then everything's based on that. And I think to throw a major component in it, throws the whole financing and the whole deal, all the math gets done over again. It trashes the whole thing, especially because it's not on part of our site plan review. I think it's grossly unfair to basically throw away the whole math of the interconnection agreement, because it's really hard to take all this power and figure out a way they can just don't insert it into the grid. It has to be studied carefully. It has to be measured. And when we did the solar landfill, it was $100,000 to do that work, and we made sure that the first payment that the bidder did was that $100,000. That's a really big obstacle, and then to just change it at the end,
Well,
I think it's grossly unfair.
Well, thank you, but
I'll leave it at that.
While we're having that discussion, if you had that situation with the landfill, if you had that agreement right up front, and you came in front of this board and we asked you if we could see that agreement, would you have a problem showing it to us?
No?
Okay. Thank you.
The town's,
Thank
no,
you.
it is no.
Okay. So if possible, I'd like to look at it before the next meeting.
Yeah, we will work on that internally and turn over what we're able to. As part of working our way through these conditions, as we had discussed at the outset, if the goal for the evening is to get as close to an approval with conditions that the board is happy with, then my suggestion to the board would be that as we go through each condition and there's discussion internally on the board, that the board take a vote on whether to add each condition to the next draft of the approval.
Okay. Well, I'd like to see the agreement from Eversource before we vote on the first one, if you don't mind. And if you get that for us for the next meeting, then. And that's a good suggestion. And we'll do that right here as we're going through these.
And what would the
interconnection agreement.
Right, the interconnection agreement. And what's the thought process behind seeing a copy of it as it relates to site plan review?
Well, the applicant keeps saying that it's been stated Eversource wouldn't want it to be underground. It's been stated that this was already designed like this. So, not to say that it's not, but you've shown us hundreds of pages of documents of design and site plan and you name it. Just to see the agreement can't be the most difficult thing.
Yeah, and so part of the thinking is that you're looking for proof that the system as we're presenting it is as designed and approved by Eversource.
Yes.
And I'll defer to the applicant on this as to whether the interconnection agreement provides.
It's silent on that. The interconnection agreement has the. So the questions that you're asking are actually within the impact study, which is what is assessed before they offer the interconnection agreement. The interconnection agreement is mostly a list of standard clauses, and then the site-specific, this is what you pay us for this upgrades that we're planning to do.
Would it show the design of it going on telephone poles from?
No.
What would show that from Eversource?
It would be the impact study.
Okay. Do you have that for us then?
Again, I would have to discuss outside of this meeting whether it's,
Okay.
because it wouldn't just be presenting it to the board, it would be a public record then. So
Okay.
That's
All
why
right, thank you. I
I'm
appreciate it.
slightly hesitant.
Appreciate that.
So the request would then be for the impact study.
Okay. And you know, as soon as possible, so we could review it. You know, not the day of the meetings, so to speak.
You're not interested in a 7th hearing?
Well, we can go as long as you like.
No, I think 6 is a good round number.
Okay.
Okay, so the second condition on your list is the 6-foot deep retention areas protected with fencing similar to the solar array to prevent accidents. I'd ask Raul.
If they're
Sure.
going to retain
Right,
water.
if they're going to retain water. So I'll ask Raul to come up and speak to it, because I believe he has stated at prior hearings that none of these retention areas will retain water.
For the record, Raul Lizardi from Cape Cod Engineering. We're the engineers and land surveyors for the project. So most of these detention basins are already within the enclosure, the fence enclosure. There is one of those drainage systems that is more than 4 feet of depth that's possibly retaining water, that is within 350 feet of the vernal pool. The intention with that one is for it to be wildlife access. If we enclose it with another fence, we'll be preventing that, which will be...
Wildlife access so that animals can drink the water, or is that like
Well, it's in between the-
pond or something?
It's between the corridor that we already agreed to open up in the west array. If we enclose it, we're practically blocking up the corridor that in past meetings we agreed to open up. And it's just located at this location. All the other ones are within the confines of the enclosure, so that will already be complied with. It's just that one that is closest to that vernal pool that we wanted to become natural, and just becomes a natural depression.
And it's going to be 6 feet deep?
That one was more than 4 feet. I don't know if it reached the 6 feet.
I want to share with you my concern. Falmouth had a situation like this many years back, maybe 20 years ago, over by the Falmouth Mall, and they had a retention area, and it froze over, and 2 young boys were walking across it, fell through the ice, one drowned. He was 11 or 12 years old. And I just want to not have something like that happen here. There's going to be people walking, you have trails, you're going to have the sledding hill close by. And if you think that something like that could happen here, I'd like to just have some fencing around it. If you don't have that concern, then...
Well, I will say this.
I'm not trying to make you do something just to do it. It's the thought process is we don't want someone to get injured here.
Now, I will say this. There's currently some areas on the site that do collect runoff from the golf course. This proposed condition with a meadow field is going to be producing less runoff than the golf course. Those low points currently on the golf course do not hold enough water to freeze over that I'm aware of. So we presume that this is going to be the same type of scenario. These are detention basin, dry detention basins that are not going to hold enough water for it to freeze over. There could be a major storm that we cannot predict or try to control, and it could hold water at these locations. But I think the incidence of that water from holding that much water for a prolonged period of time are minimum for this project, and given the soil conditions. But if the board feels that they want to add a fence to that particular drainage system, they'll have to understand that this is taking away the wildlife corridor that we agreed to do at the request of this same board.
But isn't the entire site fenced anyways, so that somebody couldn't get to one of these?
So, right, what we agreed to open up a corridor
Just the,
was
so
that
corridor would be open to the public.
that this right here was going to be fenced around, separate from this down here, so that it allowed a pass-through for wildlife
Yeah.
to get all the way to Conomeset Pond without any fence obstructions.
Okay.
If we now fence the little opening between the two bigger fences, we're,
Well,
Sure.
maybe what you can do is, you can, if this gets approved and you build it, if we feel like it needs that one area needs a fence, we can ask you to put a fence in there.
if conditions
I don't think it'd
merit
be,
the
I don't think
fence,
it'd be a big deal,
if the conditions merit the fence,
okay?
with the understanding that the wildlife corridor suffers from having that fence.
Right, but I'd rather have a couple of rabbits suffer than to have someone drown there. But we'll make that determination at another time then.
Mr. Chair, just for the record, could we zoom in carefully and show that actual detention basin, just for the record? Should be on the second page. You'll get a better, yeah.
So this is the area that we're talking about. That little solid line, kind of like a trapezoid shape, that would be the bottom of that basin.
Okay,
So to fence the outside, we're fencing
So it's
about
pretty-
10 feet outside of it.
it's pretty good size.
Yeah.
Where's the wildlife corridor there?
And this is the corridor that we're talking about.
Okay,
The other factor to be considered with this particular detention basin is that that's also within the 350-foot prohibited zone under the Cape Cod Commission regulations.
okay.
And so, part of we went through a pretty extensive waiver request and discussion when we went through the Cape Cod Commission process, as you recall, Mr. Chair, to minimize the project's disturbance within that 350-foot area. The 350-foot area, just for everyone's edification, so the measurement starts here at the vernal pool, which is outlined in bright blue. So you can see 350 runs almost up to the road. It's right behind where we intend to have some of the screening. So 350 feet is a significant measurement, and this depression is, probably 125 feet or so from the vernal pool. So any fencing may require revisiting the area of disturbance with the
They
Cape
were
Cod
very
Commission.
adamant, for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, go ahead.
Hi, Brian Madden from LEC Environmental Consultants. Also, that basin is within the proposed open space, and we had the referral from the natural resources to keep fencing outside of that corridor, the wildlife corridors.
All right, thank you.
So it sounds like, with respect to this condition, that there might be some modifications that you'd be willing to entertain, that it would be, fencing, if necessary, subsequent to construction and site stabilization?
Just wanted to. So just as a point of clarification, the basins aren't designed to hold water for a period of time. In a rain event, they will restrict the flow to prevent stormwater runoff, and then they will gradually infiltrate to be empty again at the time. I think what Raoul was kind of pointing out is that there may be some time when it's waterlogged ground and we have a rainstorm that it may take a little longer to drain through, but none of the basins on site are designed to hold water for any length of period. They're designed to hold, restrict the outflow to reduce the stormwater and infiltrate.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I may, just for clarification. And this basin in particular, if I heard correctly, will include plantings? Will there be allowance for plants to grow within the basin to make it more wild, whereas a traditional basin would not have that type of natural cover, if I've got that correct?
So yes, what we're proposing to do here is seeding these dry basins. And unlike typical dry basin or detention basins that are maintained for a particular development, that they're mowed and frequently raked out, that's not the intent for none of these basins. We're proposing them, this one is particular, to just completely naturalize itself and become wild. If trees grow inside after years, they will be allowed to be there. We're not going to be mowing it. We're not going to be maintaining a certain level of grasses or meadows in it. It's just whatever grows in there after the initial seeding and plantings will just take off.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate this.
So what's the board's pleasure with respect to this condition? Is this something that you want to continue tweaking the language of for consideration of the next hearing, or something you want to vote for inclusion within the?
I don't think it's necessary unless anybody else does.
I don't think a fence is necessary.
You guys good with it? Not fencing it?
Yeah.
As a condition?
Okay. So we'll drop this condition?
Scratch that one.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you for the explanation. Much appreciated.
Sure, happy to do so. Lawrence, do you want to speak to the third condition, alarm system to alert if battery stations have a problem, and signage for danger of shock electrocution if there is a problem?
Yeah, the batteries come with an audible and a strobe alarm if there's ever an emergency. They also send out a remote alarm to the remote operations center to let us know. So yes, there were no issue with that one. Beyond signage, I mean, there's NEC electrical code require us to have danger high voltage every 50 foot around the fence. There will also be arc flash and warning signs on the equipment itself. Are you looking for something in addition to that, or is it?
Well, I just want to make sure that if the fire department has to go there, that they're aware, fully aware or reminded that they can get electrocuted, or, you know, how much danger really is there.
Yep.
They probably know that, but if there's some signs you can put on there.
Yeah, perhaps working with the, because I think there was already one with the fire department.
Yeah.
So we could just amend that wording so that signage to be provided in accordance with the fire department and other first responder recommendations.
Yeah, because if there is a situation,
Yep.
shock or electrocution
Yep.
is
Pushing against
a
an open door on
danger.
this one. Absolutely fine with that. We do have, the NEC electrical code requires a certain amount of signage. If the fire department need an additional sign or something like that, I don't see that being too much of an issue.
Yeah, good, because these are huge battery storage areas, so. And hopefully never a problem occurs.
Okay, so it sounds like with that condition that everyone's on the same page for inclusion in a subsequent draft of the approval. I believe the existing condition with respect to the fire department, let me see, is an emergency action plan provided to the fire department prior to a building permit being issued. So maybe that condition can be augmented to include any additional signage that beyond what's already planned that the fire department might suggest.
All right, yes, thank you.
Yep. Condition number 4 is irrigation removal before construction and testing for lead. I'll let the applicant speak to this. My expectation would be that removal would happen coincident with during construction.
That's fine, doesn't have to be before, during is fine.
And that as it's encountered as part of site development, that it will be removed in accordance with law.
And if the pipes are made of lead, then earlier, one of the earlier meetings, it was stated that you would test for it, so. I'm not saying do a 21E on the whole site, I just,
Yeah, no, I don't see.
and there probably aren't lead, but I don't know.
I just think Matt's suggestion that we removal is in accordance with law because there's law covering damage and asbestos and lead and all that kind of stuff as well. So I think
Well,
adding that part.
let's leave in there the part about irrigation removal.
Mhm.
You may already be in one of your other line items, but again, there's been so much documentation, it's hard to remember every
I think
bit of it.
the irrigation removal was a Cape Cod Commission condition.
And that's in the area of disturbance as well, just for clarification's sake.
Okay.
That would be the federal government with the panels, that would be an FAA permission, and they've got no issue with that.
That's condition number 5, written proof the federal government is okay with the projects within 5 nautical miles. So that's something that we can obtain.
Yes, and
It's the FAA, the Federal Aviation.
yes, and I was with the building commissioner earlier today, and he has a way to go on site, and 5 nautical miles from the site was all the way over to Route 130. So it covers almost the whole base.
Yep.
And thank you, I appreciate you for that.
Condition number 6 is that the applicant will offer 2 programs for Falmouth residents for discounts. While that's currently the expectation, the condition seems to me to be outside the scope of the bylaw, since it's a financial program for.
It was something that you offered, it was in your, was it the LEC documents? LSCSS. It was 3 letters. I didn't bring that paperwork with me, but it's the same language that was in the document you presented to us.
Yeah.
Oh, right here, LEC.
So currently, we're speaking with Manjur Vahora with Pure Sky Energy. Currently, we're speaking with the town about various agreements, the pilot, the land lease, the land donation. And a part of that discussion is also the program that we're going to be going to use through the state Smart 3.0 program. And there are a couple of options that we have for us. There's one is public entity, which basically the energy produced by the site will go directly to a municipality or a government entity in the state of Massachusetts that's within Eversource East or within Eversource. And then the other program, which we have presented in the past, is the Community Shared Solar, CSS. And that's it's a combination of offering a 20% discount to, it's going to sound a little bit complicated, but there's a 20% discount to some of the residents and then 100% discount in energy credits to low-income residents. And so 15% of the project's output will be dedicated to providing 100% energy discount credits to the low-income residents. And these are residents that we have been working together with the town and various organizations locally to make sure that Falmouth is prioritized. And then from there, we can, if as necessary, we can reach out to surrounding communities. The condition is that they are a customer of Eversource. And then the remaining 35% will go to, at a 20% discount. Well, it's a combination of a 20% discount to local residents and then 10% discount to local businesses. So that is within the 35% of the project's power output. And then the remaining 50%, so we have the 15% to low income, we have the 35% to the, you would call them mass market subscribers, so residents and small businesses, and then we have the 50% that goes to anchor off-takers, which are, the town of Falmouth could be an anchor off-taker. Sometimes corporations might want to be an anchor off-taker depending on how they want to offset their energy and green footprint. But
big nonprofits like Ttee.
Yeah, and big nonprofits like Ttee. But what we've discussed with the town so far to date is to prioritize Falmouth and all the parties of Falmouth, the town itself as a anchor off-taker, the local residents as, and small businesses as mass market subscribers, and then also the low to moderate income folks who are eligible for SNAP benefits. So this is something that's in discussion with the assistant town planner, with Stephanie Mattson as the sustainability specialist, and other parties with Falmouth as well.
But something of this nature is going to happen with the town. Okay.
We are trying our best to collaborate with the town so that the energy coming from the site is, the town is a direct benefactor of it.
Okay, I only put it on there because it was part of the documents that you had presented to us originally, so, yes, Charlotte?
We did hear this before, and I didn't remember it then, and I can't, well, it's too many numbers for me to remember all at once, and I see, I think, an enterprise person here, and I'm wondering if you have that in writing, because I think the town would be interested in those numbers.
Yeah, we do have them in writing. I mean, like I said, we're already in discussion with the assistant town manager and Stephanie Mattson, and in discussing how we're gonna kind of dedicate certain offtake to.
Right, I think if Jed had them at his office, they'd be easy to access.
Yeah, you could feel free to reach out to Stephanie Mattson. She has all the numbers. She can even, I mean, we've been talking with her. She can discuss it and tell you how everything's broken down to just more thoroughly communicate how it's.
Is there a chance it would be finalized before we make our decision here?
I don't think it will be finalized before
Okay.
we make a decision here.
Okay.
And just, to notwithstanding Manager's excellent explanation, it seems to me that the condition would be outside the scope of the bylaw. I don't read any provisions in the bylaw that speak to imposing conditions on the financial models or output of the development under consideration.
The only reason I asked for this is because in the documentation that has been presented to us, it was in some of those documents. I just want to.
Yep, and as we've gone and progressed through these hearings, the letters that we've provided especially after the first few hearings when there was considerable public comment, were answering questions raised by the public, some of which were outside the scope of the bylaw review, but we wanted to provide answers to all questions, and regardless of whether they fall within the four square of the bylaw. So having answered the question in previous correspondence with the planning board doesn't then bring the subject matter into the bylaw itself and the ability to include it as a condition.
Yeah, we're committed for this being a system that will benefit the wider community as well. The only reservations about accepting it as a condition is that some of this will be out of our hands. Like, what if the DOER changes their rules and regulations between now and when we'll get subscribers? Would that mean that our special permit is now defunct because we can't provide or meet that condition, or whether we'd have to come back? So that's our reservations. Is there's some of this could potentially be taken out of our hands at the state level by changes of programs.
Right, I understand, but understand our position.
Mm-hmm.
These are all documents that were presented to us. I wrote here, it's a letter from December 23rd. I had to find the letter, but
In
you
responses
presented
to
it.
questions, yeah.
Someone in your group presented it to us.
Mm-hmm.
And then if it doesn't occur, then it sounds to people that live in the town of Falmouth, it sounds like it was a bait and switch, maybe. And it wouldn't be, it would not.
I fully understand that.
It wouldn't be intentional, so.
Yes, no, and I fully understand that. This is not us trying to sidestep something that we've brought up. The response to the question was, well, what are the programs available? What we can say is, as of today, this is the route that we're going down. But between now and when this project gets turned on in 2028, 2029, DOER rules could change, and at that point, it could change. I mean, Falmouth may all of a sudden decide, well, you know what, we want to take all of the electricity as part of those lease negotiations. So as Matt quite rightly said, it's a little odd to have such a commercial impact to be conditioned on something like this. I think maybe the more appropriate place to put it is in the other agreements that we have with the town or something like that. But we'll look and review it. But that's our hesitancy at the moment, is the fact that DOER rule changes can and do occur. What if they turn around and remove the LMI?
Okay,
So, yeah.
all right. Thank you for that explanation.
And so what's the board's pleasure with respect to this condition?
I don't see how we can condition it.
Oh.
And some things you just have to take on trust.
I think that's fair, and as Lawrence had alluded to, we will end up having no shortage of legally binding agreements with the town if all negotiations that are currently underway conclude successfully. And the agreements include those that Manjor mentioned already, which is a pilot, a decommissioning agreement, a long-term ground lease, and outside town council for the town of Falmouth is also working on a donation agreement, which will cover some of the subject matter areas that aren't covered by some of the other documents that I enumerated. So to the extent, for example, that we might have come to an agreement with the town with respect to the walking paths, things outside of the fence area, who's going to be responsible for maintaining the sledding hill, allowing us to relocate some of the bench monuments that are currently located at the golf course. So the kind of miscellanea will be covered by that donation agreement, and we can certainly express our intent to follow through with the existing programs. But as Lawrence alluded to, we can't predict the future and how state regulations might change the applicant's ability to offer specific discounts to specific constituencies.
Okay. Well, part of why I put this together is to remind all of us what has been presented to the town. And we as a board are going to vote to either support or not support this. But all of these nice things were part of the reason why we might vote for it. And I just want to remind the applicant, or if I could get it as part of the decision, even be better. But if it's not possible, then that's something we'll have to decide on. But I appreciate the effort and the explanation this evening.
Sure. And does the board want to have further discussion on whether to include this as a condition?
What do you guys think?
No.
Comfortable? They're talking with Stephanie. You okay with it, Jim?
Yeah.
You guys okay with it? Okay.
All right. So that won't be included as a condition.
Right.
No.
If I may, I can try to come up with some very general language / specific in a finding, indicating, that the testimony presented included X, however, noting that
Maybe something from
programs might change in the
something
future.
from Stephanie too, maybe?
Just something to indicate the benefits of the project.
Okay.
Within the, if you're comfortable with that in a finding.
And if they're comfortable with the language.
Sure.
Okay.
John,
Yes.
do you want feedback tonight? Would that be helpful to?
Sorry?
Feedback tonight on the draft that we were given to review in advance? Because we did have it, and we have had time, I've had time to review it. And I wonder if you want to do that tonight, it might be helpful to the applicants.
We can, but we got a couple more items and then we'll get
Oh, I
to
thought
that.
you were done with them.
Oh, a couple more.
For condition number 7 on the list, referencing the Cape Cod Commission finding F28, where, as we have submitted both to the Cape Cod Commission and the board here, that we intend to plant 650 new trees, 232 of which will be in open space areas, and LEC, our environmental consultant document, states the types but not sizes and numbers. Brian, do you want to come up and speak to this? I think John had asked if we could provide further information on the sizes and then what number of each type.
It's a total of 782 trees. I'd like to have some idea of what they're going to.
I believe that the 232, I'll let Brian speak to this, is a subset of the 650.
Okay.
Correct, it is,
Misunderstood
yeah.
it.
250 total, 232 of which is within the open space.
Okay, so 650 altogether.
Correct.
Okay.
Certainly we can provide a breakdown of the amount of trees or the breakdown. That's going to be somewhat dependent upon nursery availability at the time of installation. We could, if the commission or board's amenable, we could provide that prior to the start of work, along with sizes. I think the only sizes we provided to date were for the shrubs within the wetland restoration areas and buffer zones at 2-gallon containers.
Yes, I saw that.
But we could certainly, if the board's amenable, provide that as a pre-work requirement.
Well, we have in subdivision, we have street trees and caliper of certain size. So that's the kind of information that I would like to have part of the decision. And some idea of it had, I think, 4 different types of trees.
Yep.
But it didn't enumerate. So we'd hate to have 95% of them be white pine.
Yeah, no.
And
the intent would be to have a pretty good mix. In terms of sizes, I think what we're looking at is 4 to 6 footers, which may be around like an inch caliper or so. There's quite a bunch that need to be installed, and the intent is to keep those naturalized and grow wild. It's not like a landscape setting, obviously, but that would be the general intent, but we can certainly confirm that prior to the start of work.
well, the reason it was put into the agreement in the first place is you're going to clear 10.5 acres of trees. You're going to remove a lot of trees. And you put in here that we're going to, I thought it was more than the 650, but I misunderstood it. The 650 trees, we should have some idea of the caliper, and as you said, I think caliper would be a good thing to put into the decision.
Okay, thank you.
All right, then we'll look at, talk to Jed, find out what we have in our regulations, and we'll work off of that. You guys good with that?
Yeah.
Unless you have a special kind of tree you'd like to see, or?
Well, no, you're going to get a lot of volunteers as well. I mean, come to my yard, I'm constantly pulling up white oaks and white pines.
One note is, the subdivision requirements, it might be a little bit apples to oranges because a subdivision is very different from what we're proposing here. So I don't think it would be equitable to impose the same kind of size requirements on, it will be around 16 acres that are being replanted as part of the mitigation for, as you had mentioned, the 10.5 acres that are being cleared. So in a subdivision where we're talking about, residential beautification and landscaping, that's a horse of a different color from what we're doing here, which is restoration, or at least the start of restoring natural habitats.
Understandable. You're not taking 10.5 acres of 4-inch caliper trees. You're taking big trees, small trees, really big trees. So we just want to have, that's why I brought it up, because when this gets restored 40 years from now, I'm not going to be here to see what kind of trees it's going to be, and I'd like to have.
So just the idea on the restoration is that if you plant a huge tree that kind of dominates and creates the shade, then everything else that's underneath it doesn't come in. So the whole idea is you plant something that is big enough to be established without risking it dying. If the bigger tree you plant, the more highest likelihood that it dies on you is. But it also strangles the rest of the stuff from coming up as well. So that's why we intend to put the young trees there, so that the whole restoration area can grow up. I don't see an issue with providing a schedule though, but that's the reason for it, is that everything comes in together and then grows naturally, rather than planting something that's going to prevent everything from coming in underneath.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so it sounds like we'll provide additional information, and that will be prior to commencement of work, and that condition will be included in the next revised draft.
So just for the record, your decision as it's currently laid out itemizes a number of plan sets that have been proposed. We can include the restoration plan as a document within that decision. And then the condition would, I think, in my opinion anyway, the first condition, which is the plan shall be constructed as approved, cover all of the documents that have been submitted and are listed in the decision. So they would have to essentially abide by what they have included, and therefore, I don't think you need a specific condition about the number of trees.
Right.
And all of that, we can add that information into a finding, make it a little bit more specific, and then those conditions that I just outlined will essentially create the requirement to build it as presented, provided that is clear as mud.
Okay, it's already a finding of the Cape Cod Commission.
Yep.
But nowhere does it say the size, or it says the type. It says the types, but it doesn't enumerate the types, and doesn't say what size.
Sure.
And when this gets restored, which is going to be theoretically 40 years from now, or maybe 45 years from now, if there's nothing stated, the applicant can come in with 651-inch trees, say we did the restoration. I'm only trying to clarify it because it should be clarified.
Well, I'm confused. I didn't think we were talking about the restoration in the future of when they're demolishing. I thought what they're going to do now. Now this conversation switched to 40 years at the end, and I'm totally lost by that last comment. I don't know what we're talking about now.
Yeah, so I assume we were talking about, they grade the site, they put in the panels, then they do the landscaping in theory at the end. And then that is the condition for which I thought we were discussing. But if I've got that wrong, apologies.
It's during the restoration period. Restoration period is going to be...
Decommissioning and restoring
Yes.
is what you're getting at. Okay, very good.
Part of the confusion may be that there are kind of two different periods of time in which restoration will occur. The first is up front after site construction is complete, where there's going to be restoration in accordance with the restoration plan that we have submitted and that Mr. Cornock referred to. That's the 650 new trees, in addition to thousands of shrubs, the establishment of the pollinator meadows and natural grasses around the disturbed areas, as well as areas where we've already received Conservation Commission approval to go near the vernal pool for restoration activities. So that's all up front.
Right.
So that's kind of one category of restoration. The second is at the end of the lease term, which could run as long as 40 years, where pursuant to the terms of the ground leases that are being negotiated with the town, the applicant or its project companies will each have restoration obligations with respect to removal of the arrays, and that's covered by both the ground lease and the decommissioning agreement. I can let the applicant correct me if I'm wrong, but typically what is done on removal of the arrays, and what we did, for example, with our Sandwich project, is the town was thrilled with the prospect of having the pollinator meadows stay in place as a valuable ecological and public resource. And so the intent would be that the pollinator meadows, which will be underneath the array footprints, would remain in place. So restoration at the end of the ground lease would really be removal of all of the improvements, the arrays, the racking, the fencing, and and then what is left at the site is the pollinator meadows and everything else that has been allowed to naturalize over the lifespan of the projects.
So decommissioning is part of our purview and site plan review. So
I know, but I think to write specifications for replanting after decommissioning 40 years from now is beyond my scope to understand. I can't even think about it. I think they're going to give us a schedule of these plants
Yes,
for the
sir.
size and everything now. I don't think we can ask them for what the schedule's going to be 40 years from now when we take out the array.
When we take everything out, as Matt was
It's metal.
Matt was correct. We removed the racking, all the stuff, the conduits, the wires, all of the pads, all of the access roads and things like that. Those disturbed areas are reseeded, and it's left. It's not like we're going to go and
Plant trees again.
turn it back into a golf course and put the new fairway trees in and things like that. That is, we wouldn't need to remove any trees to take everything out. The restoration, as part of the decommissioning, is talking about any of the disturbed areas. So where we've got roads and equipment pads that come out and things like that, we're not just going to leave it bare open soil and walk away. Those areas get seeded and things like that. But yeah, the berms and everything that's been put up for the screening, that all remains there. They're not going to be taken out and then replanted with some additional street roads. That's not the intention of a decommissioning.
I agree with Jim. Besides which, nature, it's very hard to maintain a meadow. If they're taking out everything that they've brought in that's unnatural, they're taking away the array, the rack, the fencing, all of that stuff, and leaving the wildflower meadow as cleanly as they can, within 10 years it will beginning to turn into woods.
It's a condition of the Cape Cod Commission. All I'm
We don't
asking
need to
to
address it. It has
them
been
to do
addressed.
is, all I'm asking for is to quantify the size of the 650 trees that they're supposed to plant.
But I think they're original.
But they're the original ones. That's the part I'm getting
That's
confused
the
on.
original part. John, could we have a copy of the Cape Cod Commission's conditions? That would be helpful.
Yeah, the Cape Cod Commission is not talking about those 632 trees being planted at the end of the project. They're planted as part of the project that's going in. The restoration, which you keep referring to at the end of the project, doesn't involve any tree planting.
Okay.
Yeah, this is all up front, like I had mentioned, and it's actually a finding, F28 of the Cape Cod Commission decision. Obviously, as we were talking here about including the restoration plan as one of the plans in the board's findings, the restoration plan was submitted to the Cape Cod Commission and is included in their findings, and it's also one of their conditions that we construct the projects in compliance with the plan sets that have been submitted. I think it's, in terms of the number and the timeline, that I think is understood. The caliper is the additional information that hasn't been provided that we will provide prior to the commencement of work.
Okay.
So moving on to condition number 8 on this list, solar owner to pay rent, property insurance, et cetera, until decommissioning and restoration is 100% complete and approved by the town of Falmouth and the Cape Cod Commission. This will be covered by the ground lease and the decommissioning agreement, but it's not typical to pay rent once the project has ceased operation. So you have a decommissioning period that follows the project shutting down and no longer providing power to the grid, no longer selling power and receiving income. So typically the way that this is structured is you have a term of 25 to 40 years. During that term of operation of actual production and sale of electricity, rent is being paid to the landlord, which in this case would be the town of Falmouth. Once the projects are no longer functioning, that begins the decommissioning period, which is specified in both the ground lease and the decommissioning agreement, where each project owner will have a set amount of time to remove the array. So that's typically how the process works, and it will be covered, as I said, by those operative documents.
By your agreement with the town?
What's that?
During your agreement with the town?
Sure, yes, in the ground leases and in the decommissioning agreements.
Okay.
And it's a condition already, condition number 8 in the draft decision that that we have to come back prior to any operation and provide a financial surety to the town in the form of a decommissioning bond in the amount to be determined by the select board. And the condition goes on to provide that for a scheduled decommissioning, we'll notify the planning board of the date of discontinued operations and plans for removal, and then we will have no more than 150 days after discontinued operations to remove the array. And the decommissioning agreement, once it's fully negotiated with the town, there'll be one for each project. Will all come back to the select board along with the ground leases and, if applicable, the pilots for select board approval and execution. So given that, I'm not sure if condition 8 needs to be included.
Right, so that's already conditioned, and you also have agreements to take care of that issue.
Yep.
So we don't need to add it as another.
These are our conditions.
What's that?
I was joking, I'm sorry.
See what condition my condition
Condition was that I was quoting a rock and roll line, and it didn't go very, you're the only one that got it.
I have the Big Lebowski soundtrack. I know that song.
Edition. Kenny Rogers.
All right, the last condition on this list is references the select board letter to the commission, including the potential use of a limited portion of previously disturbed land for affordable, attainable housing. So I surmise this might be the 7 acres that are not part of this application.
That's my suggestion, but in the letter to the town, they had 7/10 of an acre. The town's letter to the Cape Cod Commission, it may have been a misprint, but it says 7/10 of an acre. It's a letter dated May 7, 2024, to the Cape Cod Commission in support by the Board of Selectmen. That's something you can review with the other group as you're going through it.
With the select board?
Yes.
Yep, okay.
We don't have any control over that.
Right.
But I wanted to put it in as a reminder.
So reminded. Okay, so that won't be a condition either. With respect to the existing conditions, if I may, there were a couple of the conditions in the draft approval dated March 20th that we wanted to discuss with the board.
Okay.
And just flesh out some practical considerations. The first is specific condition number 18, landscaping chemical treatments. And the condition reads, the applicant shall not use chemical treatments to manage or destroy plants or animals, with the only exception being an initial application of organic fertilizer to establish the new pollinator-friendly vegetative growth. The practical consideration that we wanted to bring to the board's attention that may result in some revisions to this condition is with respect to herbicides. There's already language in the Cape Cod Commission decision that says that we're not going to be using pesticides, which we're perfectly fine with. But with respect to herbicides, the Cape Cod Commission decision states that per the operation and management plan that we've presented, that and specifically with respect to invasive species growth and management removal, that if there are invasive species while we're establishing within the 3-year period of establishing the restorative efforts here and plantings, that if invasive species are identified, the preference is for hand removal. If hand removal is not practical because of the size of the invasive species infestation, then what the Cape Cod Commission provided was that we will go to Cape Cod Commission staff, we'll explain the circumstances and the intent to use herbicides in a limited manner for invasive species removal. The Cape Cod Commission staff will evaluate that proposal. We'll have discussions with them around what we intend to do and then what the actual plan will be. And as part of their decision, we're required in the O&M plan that we submitted, we're required to use a licensed herbicide applicator, to actually go and do the treatment. So we wanted to bring that to the board's attention because there's a possibility of using herbicides in those specific circumstances. Any discussion on that piece?
Just to augment as well, there are some invasive species which you cannot practically remove without the use of herbicides because of the nature of how the rhizomes and things are below ground. Pulling just masks it comes back up almost immediately, so they can only be dealt with by herbicides. The other thing is with the pollinator establishment, there are going to be areas of the golf course that aren't disturbed. Throwing seed down there, even if it's tilled and things like that, the grass that's existing will always try and outcompete the seed that's going down. It would not necessarily be our intention to certainly wide broadcast herbicides or anything like that. I'm happy for the condition that if we do need to use them for establishment or invasives management, that we can have the opportunity to come back and let you know this is what we're using, or defer to the Cape Cod, who I think you said have some specialist people on there. So we're happy with that. It's just that as written, it's very limited on a couple of other commitments that we need to make in terms of the pollinator, in terms of the invasive species management. So just a little loosening up of that.
Okay. How do you guys feel about that?
I'm okay with that.
Good. Charlotte?
Yes, I think it's good.
Matt?
I recuse myself, but I have an opinion on it.
But you don't get to say it.
Yeah, that's right.
So, gotta zip
I
it.
forgot you were here. Paul?
I'm good.
Good too.
Okay. So we're good with that.
The other condition that we just wanted to spend a little time discussing is, specific condition number 22, construction access, which reads, during construction, the applicant shall use Nathan Ellis Highway, otherwise known as Route 151, and Ranch Road to access the project sites, parenthetically, East Array, West Array, and South Array. As needed, the applicant shall be able to use the portion of Boxberry Hill Road between Ranch Road and Ashumet Road for access during construction. However, this access shall be limited and periodic at most. So the part of the discussion we wanted to have, the practicalities of the actual construction, are that two things with respect to Boxberry Hill Road. The first is that, I think as we've discussed at prior hearings, the portion of Boxberry Hill Road that is where the driveways are located. So these will be the access points here during construction. So as you can see, Ranch Road over here on the north, and on a daily basis, in order to access the construction sites, we would have to come down Boxberry Hill Road to these driveways. So the use of Boxberry Hill Road in between Ranch Road and Ashumet Road couldn't be limited and periodic, as it's the only access points to the construction sites. The other piece is that the construction personnel and equipment will also need to use Boxberry Hill Road to access the South Array, which, as you can see, is also the only access point. The driveway for the South Array being just about halfway between Ashumet Road and Sandwich Road. So I think the intent behind the initial discussion around the condition came from public comment around limiting access to the site from Sandwich Road and Ashumet Road. Obviously, we would love to limit our use of Boxberry Hill Road as much as possible, but given the driveway locations as the sole means of access to the sites, it just won't be feasible. So we wanted to bring that to the board's attention and discuss revisions to this condition that will more accurately reflect the actual construction realities.
I just to comment on this, is my understanding, and looking at when we're doing other uses, Sandwich Road is dedicated as a trucking road where we want our trucks to come through. When you're doing a contractor's yard or anything like that, we've always restricted the use to only Sandwich Road. So we got to say we're not going to let them come in Sandwich Road when it already is one of our thoroughfares for trucking. on most of our other permits that we do in town.
You're still on Boxberry Hill Road if you come in through Sandwich.
Right, and that would probably be, our preference would be to come in, particularly for the south array, the least area traversed within this neighborhood would be from Sandwich Road to the south array driveway when work is being done on that project. Having to come in through Ranch Road to get all the way down to the other side of Round Pond would be the most amount of driving through the area.
The other thing that I would point out as well is that we have the cast house, is that what it was called?
Yes, cast house.
And this area of parking down here also needs to be removed. That wouldn't take particularly long to grub it out, but that's going to require us to come down there to drive. So we're happy for Ranch Road and Boxberry Hill to serve these two beyond that access, and for Sandwich Road to come out here and have this as a kind of limited just during the parts that we have to demolish the cast house and remove that, so that it's not that we're just constantly moving between the arrays, which I think is the intent of why we didn't want to do it, because obviously most of the houses are between the two arrays. So we're happy to kind of go out from that side and go out to that side, but this part is going to have limited access as well.
What's going to require most of the trucking from off-site to on-site? Is it just moving equipment onto the site? Because you're not removing soil and not taking it to another location.
Is there any movement between the sites in terms of the grading? No, so we won't be trucking any soil between the sites. It will be the physical deliveries. So we'll have the panels, the racking, inverters,
Right.
and obviously construction staff as well.
Right. Yeah, because my only concern, if you're going to take stuff off-site, would be exiting onto Sandwich Road from Boxberry Hill, because that's a pretty sharp curve there.
Okay.
The line of sight is difficult to the left, so how do you guys feel about this? I don't see any reason to limit this.
No, I think they've got it under control. They want to make it as easy as possible for their workers. So Sandwich for the south array, 151 and Ranch Road for the northern section.
We do have a condition for a traffic management plan. We'll review that junction with Sandwich Road, and there may be a case that would, if we have deliveries, we may need a flagger or something
We'll
like that.
share it with Jed before the next meeting?
The traffic management plan?
Well, if it's going to be,
it's usually prior to building permit, because there's obviously it's going to impact on the final design. So I'm happy that I can come back and present it at that point, just so if you want some further involvement. But usually it's worked with the DPW and those people. So we can make sure that it's kind of included in that traffic management plan to minimise disruption and interference with the residents on the street.
so condition number 22, do you guys want to
I think they should
eliminate it?
rewrite it.
I'm sorry?
They should rewrite it so they have better access to it. There aren't that many roads there. They're going to have to use Sandwich Road.
I don't think we need it
Need it.
as a condition.
I think it's good to have it as a condition because the people who came here were so concerned about it. So I think it's good to have it there, but I think it should be practical and feasible, and this isn't at the moment, so it ought to be rewritten. But I think it could be rewritten by them working with Jed on it.
Jed, okay.
Yeah, so I started to rewrite it, and, part of the hesitation that I have is the way it's written now is that they would utilize 151 and Ranch Road for the east and west array, and Sandwich Road and Ashumet Road for the south array. But I honestly think you could just say 151, Ranch, Sandwich, and Ashumet for all arrays.
Yeah.
I mean, you just limit the construction activity to those four major roadways, or four roadways, I should say.
Well, you want to work with the applicant and have it ready for that?
We can certainly do that. I just want to get a sense for the board. Do you really care about which roads they use for which sites? Okay, so you're just looking to limit the impact on just the roadways that access all of the sites?
Correct.
Okay.
You good with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Besides that, and it doesn't hamstring them later.
Right.
That trucking coming off of Ashumet can't get to the east and west array. It seems kind of silly.
Okay.
And then I think those were the only two out of the draft conditions that we wanted to discuss. while we've been discussing these other conditions, Manjur was looking through the information that we've previously provided to the board as part of our application with respect to the first condition on Chairman Drewley's list. And we believe we have the information that would be equivalent to what was provided in the impact study to Eversource with us this evening. So we can just briefly present that to the board now to show what has been designed and discussed with Eversource.
So as a part of our application, we submitted the single line diagrams and utility interconnection plans for each of the different sites for the East Array, South Array, and West Array. These are the plans that we submitted to Eversource, in which they then completed the distribution study, group study, the ASO study, and then also what is reflected in the interconnection service agreement. So these are some, and I think we've already kind of presented these to the board in a past meeting. But this is this shows the plan associated. So I looked through our documents to see the distribution impact study that we have on file that came from Eversource as a result of the group study. And in it doesn't show the plans that you're looking at right now, but these are the plans that we submitted that the group study was based on. Within the group study itself, it says that when in regards to the upgrade of the distribution lines, it says convert 1,500 feet single phase to 3-phase service with 795 ACSR wire from pole 218-8 to pole 3-188-A. That's a Schumett Road. Then convert 200 feet single phase to 3-phase service with 795 ACSR wire from pole 3188-A to pole 3187. I'm sure those numbers don't mean anything to you, but that's Boxberry Hill. So
that would be scary.
Right. That's Boxberry Hill Road, along with the installation of 8 new utility poles. That's 1,200 feet of 3-phase extension from the poles at Ashimit up to the projects, the east and west arrays, and then also convert 1,800 feet of single phase to 3-phase, and that's the Boxberry Hill Road. So that's Boxberry Hill from Ashimit Road down to the South Array. So what we have in front of us right now is, this is for the East Array. These, let me just zoom in a little bit, hope that looks better to you all. But you see these poles over here are the existing poles that are going to be upgraded to the 3-phase. These poles, this is right in the corner as an existing single phase, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 up here are new poles that are going to be new utility poles extending 3-phase to the east and west array sites. And then for the south array, we have, it'll show a similar connection from Ashumit.
South Array is already existing.
Right, it exists. It's existing, but we're proposing the upgrade from single-phase poles to 3-phase poles right over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right at the street entrance point for that array. And I think what you're asking is for all of the poles from this point in Ashumit Road down Boxberry Hill Road to the South Array, and then going north to the east and west array, you want those to be underground.
No, just.
So that was the original ask. The revised ask is just the new ones going from that corner.
Those 8 right there.
So not including the ones
7.
from Ashumit,
No.
but just
the
these.
new poles.
Just these.
Right, that section right there.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think
I have a question. Are there existing poles there now and you're just replacing with new poles?
So the ones going north from Ashumit are going to be all new poles.
All new poles? The 8 you're talking about?
Yes.
To the 2 battery storage areas.
Right
They're
to
gonna
the
service-
street,
They're
and
going to
then
service those two areas.
what connects to the battery storage will be underground, medium underground voltage lines.
Right.
That's for the east and west arrays that we have,
Two.
that's within the site parameters.
Right, and then it go to the 8 poles and travel over to Sandwich Road.
That's right.
And that section along the side of the road, that's pretty heavily wooded right now?
That's right, yeah, I
So
mean,
the-
you're looking
So the
at,
poles would be going in front of the woods?
No, the wood will come down.
Some of the trees
You
are,
have to
Oh, okay,
cut 10 foot from the road,
Okay.
dig about a 4 to 6 foot trench.
okay.
that's for the, just to switch it to underground lines, you'd have to have a 4 to 6 foot trench
Right.
at around 10 feet away from the road.
Yeah.
As it is right now, they would just be isolated pole locations.
Yeah.
Some residents or some people consider them as additional buffer to the site as well. There are already existing poles along the south side of Boxberry Hill Road and then Ashumet. The upgrade from single phase to 3-phase also brings additional safety because they will be brand new equipment on those poles. Currently, if you look at the equipment on some of these poles in Ashumet, you could see some of the boxes are rusted. So all that equipment will be upgraded and provides another level of safety as they are versus what they are currently. But yeah, I think that's what you wanted to get from the distribution impact study. So I was able to find that, and hopefully we can just continue the conversation tonight and then see where it goes and bring it to the next meeting as necessary.
okay.
I think we should have a vote on whether the board as a whole wants to require you to put this all underground. I don't support it, and I'd like to see what the board votes, and if the board does, then we continue it. If we don't, I'd like to end this discussion.
Well, we're going to have the vote. But they,
I thought he was talking about continuing it, so I'm confused.
he would like to have a decision tonight.
Yeah, I would
They want us to.
second that. Yeah, I would love to have a vote on this issue tonight. This is probably the 4th hearing we've discussed it, so.
Right, my concern was, I see the design, if that's what Eversource has that said they want you to do, that's one thing. If they have not made that final decision, my question all along has been, could they design it to be underground to that pole?
This, as it's presented, has been approved, agreed upon, and memorialized in legally binding documents with Eversource.
Okay,
At this point, Eversource wouldn't come to us and say, we want you to do something else.
what if Jim Fox called them up?
I got a lot of swing with these guys.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Please don't do that.
Okay. So we'll make some discussions right now then. We'll go through are you guys good?
Well, I thought if the board was so inclined, we could vote on this condition.
Yeah, I'd like to vote on the condition tonight.
On this condition?
Yeah,
Yeah.
on this condition.
Okay.
So,
Somebody move it, if you want it,
Yeah.
move it. You're the one who wants it, right?
well, I move that we vote on this condition.
Yeah,
So we need a second?
second?
Let's hear the condition we're voting on.
Yeah.
He just read it.
That's it?
8 poles, 8 new poles.
Yeah, I think just to lay it out, it would be.
As designed.
Right, in replacing the 8 new utility poles between Ashmont Road and the east and west array connection points with underground distribution line.
I think I can make a motion that covers it clearly. I move that we accept the interconnection agreement as proposed from Eversource, the one that's already agreed to now.
I'll second.
Okay, seconds, and we'll have some discussion about it. You guys have any thoughts on it? Either accept it or we ask them to have it put underground.
Just a question why we need that vote.
Well, we're trying
We're
to,
voting on all the conditions.
yeah, we're trying to
On all the
clear up.
conditions,
Yeah.
yes.
We're gonna
That
discuss-
specific one?
We're going to discuss all the conditions tonight, but they want us to vote on this one so that, because it's a proposed condition by me that we put it underground, or no poles. So they're showing us a plan where Eversource has designed it with 8 new poles. And that's what we're going to vote on right now, whether we want to go along with that or ask for something different. You guys have any thoughts on that? Any more questions?
I don't have any more questions.
Charlotte?
I don't have any questions, but I want to say what I'm thinking about it. Initially, when you proposed it, John, putting them underground, I was all in favor of it. I was glad you brought it up. I think it would look better. I think it'd be great. I read the letter that was sent by Pure Sky about this means taking down 10 feet wide, all the length of this under the 8 poles, that many trees. And that persuaded me to not be in favor of doing the trenching. I thought they could trench the way the gas line did coming down the hill to my house, where they did an underground drilling, but you can't do that. So, no, I would vote affirmatively because it's been stated that way to accept what's proposed.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. You guys understand what the motion is? It'd be the eight new poles to actually
Well,
do
the
it.
motion is to accept the
Accept.
the interconnection agreement that they've
From
proposed
Eversource.
and already negotiated with Eversource. I wasn't
Okay.
getting down to the polls. I
Okay.
accept the whole agreement.
That's a good way of stating it.
Makes it simpler. I can't keep track of all the other things we're talking about.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous.
Okay. So that condition is taken care of.
We're going to go through them one at a time?
Did you have anything else?
Really need to?
You wanted?
I hope not.
No, I didn't know if the board was going to move on to discuss the draft conditions that Mr. Cornock provided. I think that with respect to the list of the 9 conditions that Chairman Drewry provided, I think the board has gone through those and indicated sort of yay or nay or
Right.
conditioned them accordingly. So I just wasn't sure which conditions you were moving on to that hadn't been discussed yet, if they were in the draft.
Well, you discussed a couple in the draft,
Yep.
right? Yeah. So you have no others in the draft?
Correct.
Okay.
So I'll leave it to the board if you do.
Does anybody here have any in the draft?
Yeah, there's 22 more conditions.
I'd like to make a statement about it.
Go ahead,
First of
Charlotte.
all, I really appreciate getting them in time, to have time to read them and think about it, because this has been, it's a big change in that area of town. I don't have any problem with the conditions as they're presented, and as 2 of them have been changed, and would be glad to accept these as the conditions.
Yeah, I don't have any questions on any of the other conditions. They look fine to me.
Okay.
Neither do I.
You guys have any questions on them?
I just bring up condition 11.
The memorial benches?
Should I wait till he goes? So no need, after rereading it, no need to contact the families. I think that's a waste of your time. I think we could eliminate that. Because my goal was not to have the memorial benches destroyed during construction. So can you just relocate them, the memorial benches where they're visible on the walking trails? You know, they'll serve the purpose for which they were intended, a seat for visitors to rest along the walking trails.
Okay.
That's all. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so all the other conditions we're good with?
Yeah.
Okay. The next meeting, we'll vote everything in then.
I also say, you know, it seems, I feel as if I at least, and maybe some others, have been very begrudging about this, because it's a big change in the way Boxberry Hill Road and that neighborhood would be, so it's been begrudging. But I don't doubt that this is a better use of that land. So thank you, and thank you for the respect you've shown to waiting for us to get ready for this. Thank you.
It's our pleasure.
Okay.
Thank you for your thorough review of the project as well.
Okay, so we need a motion to continue till the next,
Yes,
okay.
sure.
What was the date again, please?
April 14th.
April 14th.
So moved?
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, I'm sure you.
Okay. Not quite.
You wish.
Almost. We're going to do the planning department report now.
Not much to report, only a week ago, so same report as last week.
That's good.
That's it.
Committees?
Committee reports.
Nothing since last week.
Okay, last meeting I mentioned that we had these items from the Cape Cod Commission. This is a report about the town of Falmouth. Everybody has a copy.
Yeah.
And then this is Falmouth and other parts of the Cape, items that the Cape Cod Commission are working on. And some really nice facts about the town of Falmouth's population, housing, medium single-family home sale price averages $825,000, 76% increase in 6 years.
I couldn't afford to buy my own house right now.
Yeah, we're all rich on paper now. I'd like to comment on one fact that's presented here as a fact, and it is a fact as far as the state's concerned. The 1,651 registered short-term rentals, I think that's a number taken right off the state registry. There's a problem with the state registry maintenance. You get on the list, but you don't actually get taken back off. And we learned that from Scott McGann, who ran actually what sounded like a thorough effort to clean it up and understand really how many short-term rentals do we have in town. And it would appear to be right around 800 operating short-term rentals. So like half of what you're looking at right there, but that's because of the state registry system.
That's good. Good to know. Okay, any announcements?
I have one.
Yes, Paul.
Melinda, if you're watching, we wish you a speedy recovery.
Yes. She's got
Yes, for
COVID.
sure. Unanimous.
I'm sure she's watching.
Poor thing.
Any future agenda items?
Got a plate full.
I had this.
Okay. General correspondence from March 18th to March 24th.
Just one email for the board from Lilia Franton. It was received on Monday, the 23rd of March, and it's in regards to your last hearing and an application that came before you, but I included it as general correspondence. We'll also include it because it's specific to a project in your next hearing with that developer.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next meeting is scheduled April 14th,
Yep.
2026, and April 28th, 2026. Get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ooh.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Quick question, was there no opportunity for the public to comment on the solar project this evening?
Oh, I apologize.
That was a decision.
Well, it was a we're making a decision, that's,
I'll be brief. Didn't know if it wasn't allowed or not tonight.
We don't.
You've already closed the meeting. I would suggest at the next meeting.
that's the next meeting. I apologize. Meeting adjourned.